In this video, we'll take a deeper dive into the menus and programming techniques used with the ICOM ID-31A Plus D-Star handheld radio. In part 2 of this series, we took a look at the ICOM ID-31A Plus D-Star handheld amateur radio. In this video, we're going to go through some of the menus and programming techniques you'll use to set up your radio and how you'll use the menu controls to make common types of calls using the ID-31A Plus. Much of the information in this video will also apply to the ICOM ID-51A handheld as well. We're going to stick to the D-Star operations, but understand that the radio works with normal FM repeaters too. Let's start with the handset buttons. Okay, so there are a number of buttons here on the faceplate of the radio, and several of them have more than one function. You can do those functions by either using a short press or a long press on each of the buttons. With the radio on, you can press the menu key and get into the main comprehensive menu, or you can long press on it and it'll lock the keys, go into the lock mode. This key, FM DV, will let you change modes between FM and digital modes. A long press will open up a scanning menu. This obviously is the power button down there. The V megahertz screen has a couple of functions as well. In the VFO mode, you can push it to select, 1 megahertz tuning step. You can push it to select the VFO mode, for example. And then if you're in a menu and you're making some spelling choices, the little clear button will be a backspace. The M-Call button, if you push it, it will open up the memory selection mode, and if you push and hold it, it will enter the select memory write mode. And then the quick menu mode, again, depending on what mode you are in, will provide you with some secondary menu choices that are related to the mode you're in. So the menu choices in DR mode are going to be different than in VFO mode and so forth. Now, the rocker panel here in the middle has some buttons on it as well. So the CS, think of that as the call sign key, and you can use that to manipulate some menus. Same thing with the CD. The CD key is the receive call sign display key or call sign display. A long press on the DR key will take you into the DR mode. A short press will, in the menus, allow you to move up and down. Again, in the menus, you can move left and right using the CD and the CS buttons. And then the top button, the RX-CS button, is the RX call sign capture key. And so that little arrow pointing to the CS indicates a capture. And so if you are in the DR screen, menu screen, or a quick menu screen, you can move use that key to move up and down the menu, or if you hold for 1 second, you can capture a calling station's call sign. So those are the control keys that you're going to be working with here on the face of this ICOM ID-31A Plus. With the front buttons described, let's chat for a minute about using the menus to control the radio's from and to functions. If you're new to D-Star and haven't seen my intro to D-Star video, there are some terms that might be confusing, especially in the to function. I'll refer you back to that video rather than repeat all that information here. So here we're still in the main menu, and you can see that I've highlighted the DV memories choice. And so let's go in there and just look around for a little bit. First, we're going to look at the repeater list. Now, the radio comes with a set of DR memories or repeaters from the factory. And that list is a little dated, but it'll help you get started. I have customized that list using the programming software, so what you see here is going to be different than when you turn on your radio. I simply chose not to have all those repeaters listed, things in Africa or Asia and so forth. And so I have for my group 1 my simplex frequencies. These were standard that came with the radio. So there's the FM call, secondary FM call for the 440 frequency band, and so forth. So that's what we have there. In group 2, I put my hotspot. And so my hotspot is, I'm calling it Pi Star 3. I have a couple of different Pi Stars. You might have one, in your house, and then in another in your car, for example, and you don't carry them back and forth. And then we can go down through the list. Some of these are blank. Here's some Canada. And the numbers came across when I updated with the numbers that the download had. So group 14 was Latin America. And since I didn't download these other groups, they are just here blank. But there's USA, Northeast, Midwest, Southeast, USA West, and so forth. And so if I wanted to look for a repeater at USA West, I would select it, and then there's a list of all of the D-Star repeaters listed by name here in the western part of the United States. And so just going to be kind of managing that list here from the handset, should you choose to. In a lot of cases, it's going to be easier to manage with the software, but you can do it here, which is what we're talking about. Now, the other thing you can do is look in your call sign, and you can see the various UR repeaters or memories that you have in your call. And right now, mine is blank. And we're going to add a couple of those here in just a moment. So we'll go back and look at some of those here in just a second. So those are the various memories that are there, and that's what you can choose from. To make use of this, let's look at a couple of things. First, we've got the to and the from. So here's the to, and there is the from. So if you watched my previous video, you know that the from is that first repeater or that first access point to the D-Star network. So that's going to be the repeater that's you can hit from where you are, or it's going to be your hotspot. And so with the from selected here, I can hit the blue button, and then I can go back to my repeater list, which is what you saw just a moment ago. So I can access it there, and then I can just pick a repeater from that long list of repeaters. Or, which is really cool, I can go to my nearest repeater. And my nearest repeater then is going to come up, and I can choose from all of them, my nearest digital repeater or my nearest FM repeater. So it searched through, and when I programmed my Pi Star, I programmed in the UTC and the latitude and longitude that I read from the GPS display here on this radio. And so I can choose my Pi Star easily when I'm at home because I'm right on top of it and it comes right up. So if I've had it in the car and I've been using a repeater around town, I can easily switch it back. Now the other thing you'll notice, it says it's 0 miles, and it's my call sign, and it's B, which is how I have my hotspot set up. Scottsdale repeaters 19 miles away, Goodyear's 22, Surprise is 26. It's a little further away, but I'm kind of tucked into some mountains here. And so Surprise is the one I'm usually able to hit here when I'm in my backyard. So I can select the Surprise, and that becomes basically my RPT1. And so you can see that the call sign there is on the screen. It's November 8, November, Quebec, Papa, Bravo. So I'm going in on the 440 part of the machine. And then you can see that it's got some traffic happening as I see some signal strength happening there on that repeater as we're working on it right now. Now the next thing we want to do is think about what we're going to do here with this to command. And so in the to command, when we go in here, we can see that we've got a local CQ, a gateway CQ, and I can go into my UR channels or my your call sign channels or my reflectors. So we'll spend just a second or two on each one of those. Now if I choose just to talk on that Surprise repeater and don't want anything that I'm transmitting to go beyond the repeater, I would use local CQ. Most of the time you're not going to want to do that. It's there's no harm in going out with that G in the 8th position of your RPT2 command. And so you can go with whatever the repeater is linked to, and if it's unlinked, then everybody's just using it as local anyway. The gateway call sign is the second thing that I can use. And again, if I wanted to direct some activity to a particular repeater, let's say that I have a friend that I know works in the Northeast, and he's often listening to this Enfield repeater. You can see that the repeater is K1 CDG, and the module is B. And if I hit the press to talk, I get this UR and then the call sign, which tells me that the message went through. And so if I were to speak now with this repeater in, I would be broadcasting there to Enfield. So that's not really what I'm interested in doing. So let's go back to our menus here. Now, if I wanted to link to a reflector, I go to the reflector, and then I can also, instead of using these up and down buttons, I can also move my choices here. And here you can see those UR commands that I've talked about. So the E command, the U command, the L command, and down here is the repeater information command. So if I wanted to get some information about where I'm connected, you know, I could select that. It comes up as repeater information. The letter I is displayed there on that display, and then if I were to press the button, URI comes up, and I didn't get anything back. Again, I'm in my house, and so with this little antenna, my connections are sometimes hit and miss. But here is where all of those UR commands are located. So if I wanted to connect to a reflector, I could go to the unlink command, press to talk. It would unlink the repeater from the currently linked reflector. Then I could go to link to reflector, press that, and then I get presented with the choice of a direct input. And this way I can select where I want to link directly. So if I select that, this one will give me only the REF type of inputs, and I can just use the dial to dial in the repeater number. And so if I wanted to link to reflector 004, I would have dialed it to 004. I go over here, and then this is the module A, B, C up to Z. So I'm in reflector 4 module A, and then the link command, and that's what we're doing, so there's no reason to make any changes there. So I press that, and so now if I do the press command, it would send the link command to the surprise repeater. Now I'm not going to do that because I haven't listened to the repeater, and I don't want to mess up somebody else's QSO. Just, you know, good practice not to do that. So, but that's how you do it here with the radio. Now, with your call sign, it's kind of the same thing, and that's the memories, your call sign memories or the UR memories that are stored in that category of memories. Now, when I press the blue button, you hear it beeps at me. That's because I don't have any. And we're going to change that here in just a second as I show you how to do some of that programming. So here I'm still in the main menu up here, and I'm in the DV memory. So I'm going to go into DV memories. And this time I'm going to go into your call sign. And there's none here. And so at this point, it would seem like, well, I'm kind of locked out. But no, we go down to the quick menu, and I want to add one. And so I'm going to add, and then I'm going to add the name, and then I'm going to use my knob and go with the letters. So we'll go those through, and I'm going to put in use the CS key to space over. I'm going to label this as use repeater command. Okay, so I've got use repeater. Then I'm going to go down to call sign, CQ, 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 down again. I'm going to add right, yes. So now I've got the use repeater in there with CQ, CQ, CQ. All right, let's go back to your call sign. There's my command, quick start. I want to add another one. This time I'm going to call it unlink. So I'm going to, the blue button, okay, so there's unlink. Call sign in this case is going to be 7 spaces and a U. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the CS key, here's space 8. And here's my U. I'm going to select that. That's my call sign. So call sign, the name is unlinked. The call sign is 7 spaces and a U. And so I'm done. I want to add right. Add it. Yes. And so now my unlink command is there along with my use repeater command. Now I'm going to go off camera and add the other commands here, and then we'll come back and show you how to link a reflector. Okay, so you can see that I've got the use repeater, the unlink, the info, and the echo test all programmed here in my radio. And so at this point, I want to add a reflector in my URs, okay? And so I can add the reflector, and I'm going to give it a name. And so I'm going to add a reflector that hosts a net that I might be interested in. Now this net is, you know, for military veterans. I'm a military veteran, so if I wanted to participate in this net from time to time, I would come in and I would give it a name, and the name for this is MVET. So there's M-V-E-T. Blue button again. Now I go to DR button, or the down button for the call sign. And then the call sign in this case is the reflector name. So we're going to give it a call sign of REF 0, 2, 6. Now the module for this net on this particular reflector is module A. Okay. And we want to link to it, so we're going to give it a command of L. Okay. So now I've got my MVET call sign on reflector 26 alpha with a link command. So I'm going to press the quick link. I want to add to right, so I'm going to press the blue button. Do I rerun my shirt? Yes, I am. I'm going to go there. And now I've got my MVET net programmed in my UR memories. Now the other thing that'll make this really handy is this is where you program in reflectors that are DCS reflectors or XRF reflectors, so that you would do it the same way. You can direct enter REF reflectors in one of the other menus, but here you're going to do those non-D plus type reflectors, or as I did with this MVET net, I can identify in my UR memories the net and use that command that way. Now on my repeater list, I can do some of those very same things. So let's take a look at how I programmed my hotspot. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So I've got my Pi-Star 3, which is the hotspot I'm using for this radio. I can go to quick menu. I'm going to edit, so I'll go down to, and I can work through these things here. So the type was a DV repeater. Again, it's just going to be pressing the buttons to get the choice I want. And so it's a DV repeater. I've given it a name, Pi-Star 3, which is using the knob to change the letters like I just showed you. The subname is my hotspot, so I did that again using the knob to change letters. The call sign is the call sign in my hotspot, so that's going to be my call sign with a space and a B for the 440 module in the 8th position. My gateway call sign is the same except for the G in the gateway position. I've put it in group 2, which is my hotspot group. My use the from is yes. My frequency that I've selected, I put in there. I'm using my duplex offset as negative, and my offset frequency is 0. Now with a hotspot, that's important because your hotspot is probably not going to do a duplex transmission for you. So you can do duplex plus, duplex minus, doesn't really matter. Offset needs to be 0. Some people talk about leaving the duplex off. I haven't experimented with that, but I know that duplex minus with an offset of 0 is going to work. There's the offset. On the position, I've chosen exact. I use the commands to get the exact position from the radio's GPS, and I've entered in my latitude and longitude using basically the same technique. You use the CS key and the CD to move back and forth, and then the knob to change the numbers. And so I've got my latitude and longitude saved in there, which allows me then to use the nearest repeater command to come up with my hotspot right away, because when I'm home, I'm right where it is. So I would encourage you to do that. The UTC offset is 7. And then again, I can add or overwrite. In this case, I didn't make any changes, and so I'm just going to back out. So those are the primary programming aspects here of the radio and the operating aspects of what you're going to do. So let's take a quick look at how you might set this up real quick. Okay, so let's go through the process of getting ready to talk on a repeater, or for a hotspot for that matter. So we're in the VFO mode right now, so we can press the DR button and hold it, and I go into DR mode. You can see that because it's got the from and the to. We're going to go to the from, and we're going to look for the nearest repeater. We want a digital repeater, so we'll pick that. The radio searches. Found my hotspot. If we were going to connect to the hotspot, I'd pick that. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick a different one than the one that was listed there, just to go through it with you. So we'll pick the surprise repeater. So that has now set our RPT1 to surprise. Now we'll go the up button or the RxCS button to 2, and we'll select the 2. Now, if I just wanted to talk on that local repeater, I could select local CQ, and I'd stay there. I can go for a gateway call if I want to go through the process of selecting a repeater somewhere else that I want to talk to. I can go to one of my Your Call Sign channels, but in this case, I'm just going to go to a reflector. And so here I have my various UR commands. So I'm going to go for repeater information. That's the repeater information for surprise. We'll press and see if I get anything back. I'm in the house, so sometimes my connections aren't very good with this little rubber ducky. And it didn't come through, so I'm not connected, but that's okay. It's the process we're looking at. Again, go to use reflector. I can use my knob to change these if I want to. So I could go to echo test, select echo. In this one, it goes right to the 2, and if I press and talk on echo test, I'll get that response back. And so let me turn the volume up. Again, I don't think I'm connected because of where I am in my house, but we'll try it. Alpha Alpha 7 JM echo test. JM echo test. Okay, so I got that through. There was a little bit of that R2D2, which means I'm at the outside range. And so that's good. So we'll go back here and we'll go again to reflector. And then if I wanted to unlink the reflector that's currently on that repeater, I'd issue an unlink command. Then I could issue a link command to one of the other reflectors. And so I've only got one listed there. And I'm going to get up to 5 listed there. And so the last 5 reflectors that I've transmitted to are going to show up here below the direct input. If I go to direct input, then I can use the knob to roll through the numbers and make another selection. So I'm going to back out of that. And then I'm going to go up here to use reflector and select that. And so with that reflector, the thing I want you to notice on this is that it says use reflector, and then it says CQ, CQ, CQ. So that's the command. So when I go through those commands to see what the information is, to see if it's linked to another reflector already, if that's good enough for me, I can just go to use reflector and make the call. If I want to unlink it, I'll make my comment to the repeater and say, hey, is anybody using this right now? Do you mind if I make an unlink and link to a different reflector? Then I would use the link command, link to that different reflector, and then I would move to the use reflector in my 2 here. So I would have the CQ, CQ, CQ listed. So I'm making all those changes with this little twisty knob. Now, let me back out of this and go up to your call sign. So we programmed those your call sign memories a few minutes ago. So let's look at those. And so again, I can use my little knob and I can go for info. I can unlink. Then I can link to that MVET that I programmed in. And then I can go again to my use repeater choice. So I'm making these changes just with this knob, and so I don't have to go back and forth between those 2 memories. So again, I've got use repeater, which is that programmed memory that I did a few moments ago, and it's got that CQ, CQ, CQ. So that's pretty much how this works with a repeater. It would work the same with my hotspot. The radio will treat the hotspot the same way as it does with a repeater. As you can see, you probably don't want to input too many memory channels via the radio's input controls. Using the customer programming software is a much less tedious technique. The next video in the series will discuss it in more detail. With a little practice and a willingness to explore the radio's full feature set, the ID-31A Plus is a robust handy-talkie allowing you to handle most D-Star tasks. Menus will quickly become second nature, and after you've decided what UR memories you want to program into the radio, you'll be ready to enjoy the radio's various capabilities and chatting with other hams all over the world. While D-Star is pretty easy to use overall, like any advanced technology, there are some terms and protocols you'll need to adhere to. Using your ID-31A Plus full feature set will require some study and experimentation. For many, however, what we've touched on here will be enough to keep them busy and happy. If you found this video helpful, please click on the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. 73s, and thanks for watching.